What's up, true believers and Merry Marvelites? It's Evan back with another slight Ultimate Alliance 3 related video because I was and still am at E3 2019. The first day of the expo ended a few hours ago. I'm finally back in my hotel room. I'm getting prepared for tomorrow because that is where I will be, spoiler, able to interview Scott Amos from Crystal Dynamics talking about Marvel's Avengers at the Square Enix booth, and I'll be asking all, hopefully, good questions relating to the game and certain aspects of the story, narrative, and all that. And I also got to explore the entirety of the E3 Expo in the South and West Hall, but in the West Hall, where the Nintendo booth is located, there is actually a playable demo of Ultimate Alliance 3, and I got to play it, and I know this is kind of off the cuff, but I'm still trying to get ready for tomorrow, but you will see in this video here some of the gameplay off-screen footage of the demo that was at E3, and essentially what is that they just have you play, I'm assuming, one of the levels of the game in Shadowland, where the Hand and Daredevil are assumingly going to fight, and you're trying to do an objective for Jessica Jones. It was so fast because I couldn't really see what she was saying, and you also have to play the demo with 2 to 3 other people, because since it's a co-op game, obviously, with up to 4 players, they try and get multiple people in one demo station to play together, and that is fun because you can try and see what it feels like to play with friends, which is one of the biggest appeals of Ultimate Alliance in general. I highly remember back in the days when Ultimate Alliance 2 came out, I was playing with both of my pals, and we were just totally dominating people as Spider-Man and Iron Man and Captain America, and that game was awesome, and this game brought that childhood feeling back and that I felt when playing the old games. And in my opinion, I think it's possibly, I don't want to say it because I might jinx it, but in my opinion, I think it might be the best Ultimate Alliance game yet. Because the problem with the other two is that they were kind of clunky and they didn't really age that well in terms of the graphics. And people were complaining, oh, the visual style, it's too cartoony, it's too, like animated in that sense. I actually think with the way on how the game is visually presented, with the characters being introduced and all the crazy action that's going on screen, it actually works really well, especially during combat when you're trying to keep track of where's my character, where to go. That was one of the things I was kind of worried about, like, well, the combat, it's not going to really change up the formula that much like the previous games. It'll just kind of do the same thing, and all the powers and the team-up attacks will just feel the same. The more that you play, you unlock more upgrades for the characters, obviously, but you also unlock more team-up attacks and more combinations with your own powers to mix up with the other characters' powers that the other players are playing as. So in my demo, which you will see, I played as Spider-Man, who I'm pretty darn sure is voiced by our main man, Yuri Lowenthal, which is awesome. Robbie Damon already confirmed he's not voicing Spider-Man, who's from the Marvel Spider-Man cartoon on Disney. We know Najee Jeter is Miles Morales, and Laura Bailey, I think, is Spider-Gwen. So it makes sense if they brought Yuri back to voice Spidey in this game, which is awesome. But I played as Spider-Man, and the 2 other guys I was playing with, lucky enough, were playing as Miles and Venom, and then we just had Star-Lord on the side as an extra character. And it was awesome. I really, really had fun playing with the other 2 guys I was playing with. They were really having fun just mashing buttons and attacking foes while we were teaming up. And when we did execute the team-up attacks, it looked awesome. Like, Spider-Man Peter Parker's combat is so cool, specifically with the web swinging and moving and shooting webs and air launching enemies, and then using your special abilities to, like, send out spider drones and web maces and web hammers and web shots and all these crazy combo maneuvers for one character compared to the whole roster of characters that are going to be featured in the game is pretty darn amazing on Team Ninja's part. That actually made it all connect in a really fun and visceral way that made you intrigued into the game's narrative and gameplay, because usually you would think, oh, I'm just going to be mashing buttons and I won't feel anything. It'll just be, just go in, you don't know what's going on, attack the foes, and that's it. But you obviously know you're in Shadowland for this example. You're fighting the Hand, and you're trying to do an objective for Jessica Jones, and spoiler at the end, because it got cut off in the demo, you team up with Iron Fist, and you take on, like, some mini-bosses, essentially. And that's where I had to cut off the footage. But it was really, really fun actually trying to interact with all these different combinations of power moves, the special moves, your own combat abilities, the traversal, kind of like with the web swinging or flying, depending on your character, is really, really fun. And I thought the damage numbers would be a bit distracting, but I think it actually worked really well in terms of how they displayed it in the game. And you'll see, like, there's obviously multiple aspects where you see, like, the kind of top-down look, like they said, or the action camera, the hero camera, You don't really get to do that in the demo because you're playing with multiple people, but from what I've seen, the smaller, over top camera that they had in the previous games, I didn't like that as much because I wanted to see my character. I didn't feel that same problem with this one because they are a bit closer this time around, and you're obviously trying to get all the enemies on screen at once with your heroes as the main center of attention. But it did feel really, really fun in that camera, so I'm sure the heroic camera will feel even more immersive if you're someone like me who just wants to experience it as a single-player game, kind of like Spider-Man PS4, for example, or the Arkham games or anything like that, and you just want to go in and experience like a AAA story-driven type of, Marvel or superhero game. This could be it, and if you're really down for co-op games specifically and just want to have fun with your friend, play on a Switch, get 2 other buddies of yours, and then just go crazy with some Marvel hero action, I think this is it. And I think that the art style works really well because I get the same vibe like Ultimate Spider-Man, where even though the game came out in 2005, the art style for that game still looks good to this day because of the cel-shaded graphics. And this, they obviously go cel-shaded, but all the characters have style, personality, flair, and the team-up attacks and the extreme moves, they worked really well together. So I'm really impressed with what Marvel and Team Ninja actually did with this. And I don't own a Switch, but depending on if the DLC is good, we're getting the Marvel Knights, Fantastic Four, and more X-Men characters as DLC in the fall of next year, or fall of this year, I believe. And the game comes out in July of 2019. This is going to be pretty darn good, and I might just go out and buy a Switch just to play this game, because I had a lot of fun, only for like 7 to 8 minutes worth of gameplay, but it was really well worth it, and I think I had my expectations were pretty in the middle. Like, I'm not expecting awesomeness, but I'm not expecting disappointment, just average. But now I'm like, you know what, this was actually really, really good, and I'm really excited to see how a boss battle actually works. We didn't get to experience a boss battle, but in the trailers they showed, like, I think Surtur and Doc Ock, which is in the game now, and, all these other characters that will be in the roster, and on the villain side, of course, like with Thanos and the Black Order. So I think the boss fights will probably be a highlight of the gameplay with the attacks that you'll do and the moves that you'll be able to execute with your teammates and the other heroes that you play as. I didn't get to see any alternate costumes or an upgrade system in the demo, but they probably show that off in the Nintendo Treehouse presentation. So that was really, really cool, and I think that the game will have a lot of I don't want to say replayability, but just a lot of aspects to try out different characters. Like, you know what? I play a lot with Spider-Man, so maybe let me try Iron Man or Captain America. So if that's replayability in the sense that you want to try every character out for yourself and upgrade them to see what their powers are, then there's going to be, like, what, over 30-plus characters in the launch roster, and then when the DLC comes out, it'll be like maybe 40-plus, so that's pretty darn good. And we don't know. Those are the only ones that we announced so far with Marvel Knights, Fantastic Four, and more X-Men. So maybe even after that, there could be more characters down the line for the roster in the future for this game. And it looks really fun. I think this might be a sleeper hit if people don't really pay it that much attention. But let Marvel know if you've played at E3. Let me know what you thought. If you have seen the footage online that Nintendo have shown, what do you think about it? Do you want to play it? I highly recommend that you do, because I think it is a really, really fun game to experience, and I'm really excited to see what your guys' thoughts are in the comment section down below. And if you guys excuse me, I got to get ready for tomorrow for the big day, where I will hopefully do a good job interviewing Scott from Crystal Dynamics at the Avengers booth, and hopefully get a lot of questions answered about what's going on. And of course, hopefully if our boy Spidey from Spider-Man PS4 will somehow be in the game. But until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and Merry Marvelites. Peace out.